What is up, everybody? Hopefully you're having a wonderful day. And I had a question for you guys, kind of a discussion, something I've been thinking for about the last month or so of playing the game on and off, and that is about debuffs, about conditions. Are they really useful later in the game? Do they fall off around the time you're getting into CODA, maybe finishing the main campaign, you know, especially into the post-game CODA content? I really think they do, but maybe it's just a me thing, maybe I'm crazy. So I want to know what you guys think about that, if you think debuffs fall off or if they're not as useful, and I'll give you my reasonings and why I think that. I kind of mentioned it in a previous video, couple previous videos, that debuffs, they just don't have the power they had early on in the game. And the reason why I say this is because your units are hitting a lot harder in the later parts of the game versus the early parts. You know, earlier on, chapter 1, 2, maybe even 3, you can take 3, 4, 5 hits to knock out a unit, depending on what you're doing. In CODA, you're taking a guy out 2 hits, 3 hits at most. Sometimes you're one-shotting, depending on what class you're using. So I find that any kind of debuff that ends your turn, or a debuff where you could be doing damage, is kind of redundant, kind of just pointless. Now, if the debuff is applied to a weapon or an attack, that's fine because it's just part of the attack, you're still dealing damage. But if I'm trying to, like, cast sleep on an enemy, charm, paralysis, even poison, whatever, if there's no damage along with that, and it's just like the spell, where it's just like, okay, I'm gonna cast sleep, okay, turn's over, or the damage is so minimal, I feel you're doing yourself more harm than good, because eventually you're going to run into enemies in the game, which I'm not really showing it here, but you're going to be outnumbered. You're usually going to be outnumbered 2 to 1, majority of the time, sometimes even almost 3 to 1. And you need to eliminate stuff as you go, or you're going to be overwhelmed and you're going to lose. Because there's no way 10 guys can take on 20 to 30 with insignificant damage, because you're just going to get swarmed by them, because the AI will just keep coming towards you, keep hitting you. You know how it goes. So you need to be knocking out units every turn or two, multiples at a time when you've got that many. The average battle in Tactics Ogre, in my experience, is about 5 minutes, maybe 10 on some of the longer ones. So if you're spending, you got 8 turns, right? You got 8 units, and 3 of those units are throwing debuffs down. That's only 5 that can really deal damage, which that's DPS, damage per second, I feel is a major thing that a lot of people don't think about, possibly because of the game. And it can really affect how you progress through a stage, the difficulty, all that kind of stuff. So, in my opinion, debuffs waste turns, just like buffs do. Now, obviously, if it's a buff like Velocity Shift that's auto, that's fine, but if you're sitting here casting Boon of Swiftness on your characters, if you literally have a dedicated Boon of Swiftness caster, like during CODA, I don't know what you're doing. That guy the whole time is casting Boon of Swiftness on 7 to 8 other characters. That's the battle. It's over. You're not getting 8 turns on a unit, unless you're doing one of the really long, hard battles. So, buffs, yes, I guess not. I feel like debuffs fall off more, because buffs apply to your unit, and, your unit's going to be around the most of the battle. So, I mean, we're like a debuff. What's the point of sleeping somebody if I'm going to kill them on the next turn, or charming them, or you know what I'm saying. I think you guys understand. So that's how I feel. I just feel it's a waste of a turn if it's strictly only for the debuff. If it is like applied through an attack or a spell or whatever, then that's fine. I mean, whatever, it's just extra effects for you. But overall, I just find myself not really using, debuffs that are built into attack or built into a spell where it's a one-turn thing and it's done. Auto skill debuffs are great, because you don't gotta do anything. It's like basically free. So that's my thoughts. That's how I feel about it. I do think debuffs are kind of a gimmick later on in the game. Like I said earlier, let me know how you feel. What do you think about it? Do you agree? Do you disagree? If so, why? Let me know down in the comments. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, later guys. Peace out. Have a good one.